All right, so there are 4.8 million votes that were given in the 2 elections in Norway last year. They were given on paper ballots, they were stamped, and they were counted by humans and machines. I sent 739 requests for election information. From this, the votes. Welcome to my talk. I'm Hallvard Nygård. My daytime job is working as a software architect at Storebrand, where I currently work with Kron. In my spare time, I dig into things. I scrape information, I request information from public entities, I find security issues and leaks. And a fun fact, this picture I have on Twitter is me sitting inside an excavator. So today I will take you on a journey to see where I'm coming from with responsible disclosure and to what I'm looking at now, which is elections. So I hope you will learn a couple of things along the way. So I'm a hacker by heart. I'm always curious about things. I'm looking into services that involve me and my data. So if you are my bank or if you run a government site, I will scrape the data. And this is also where it started out with the Rema 1000 app, where I got 15 minutes of ramp light and some media attention. The app was rushed into production. There were no security measures at all. The API had an auto-incrementing customer ID as input. It's in one of the screenshots here. With that ID, which is deterministic, you can get any receipts and some partial credit card information. I was originally looking into the app to download my own data, so my interest was mainly getting hold of my own receipts, but I got a bit more. So this find was by accident. There's a lightning talk there if you want to know more about that exact instance. So I often make services that I want myself. One of the largest is norskepostlister.no. This is a service I have made to get alerts on what's happening in public entities, keeping track of things. One such alert is the one you have on the right there, where I'm alerted about a new document in one of my complaints about election. To make this service, I scrape about 500 different municipal and government entities on a regular basis. So this is a good source for public information from the whole country. So if you do your own research or are looking into things, this is a good source. Speaking of looking into things, I do my own research on the election. I take an independent look at it. I collect data. I'm making the data available for others, freeing them. So when I have collected it, that effort is shared with others. I make reports so that we can see unreported discrepancies where that is present. And I also learn a lot about the election process, how votes are handled, how the counting is done. And I also went sort of undercover to just see how this thing goes. It's perfectly fine to sign up as an election official on the election day. There's a lot of need for that. And if you have a security mindset as well, you will see a lot of things. But these are usually normal people that are participating in the counting and polling station work that is being done. So I've done that 2 times by manning the local polling station. So this has given me a unique insight. Before we dive into elections, I want to have a look at responsible disclosure, getting things fixed, improving things, and also disclosing it so that we all can learn from it. That is, after all, the end state of this. Defining responsible disclosure, or coordinated vulnerability disclosure, which is the popular term these days, is the process of reporting a security issue that you have found. You report in confident, in secret, to the owners or whoever is running the service. You collaborate with them to validate the find and see that this is actually an issue. Transparently share what you have done, and also expect some transparency back from the companies. I think companies should always confirm a find and optionally also give some information and context to what has happened and how we got there. Give a reasonable time to fix it. Could be days, could be months, depending on what is
more power.
Also.
Yeah.
If it's very serious, I would say a day is enough to shut down the service. And then, of course, optionally disclosing it to the public so that others can know and also learn from it. So how do I usually find things? Well, I see issues all over the place, basically. So what I report is both technical issues, like some code or configuration that is wrong and you get access to data you shouldn't have. But it can also be pure leaks of information, people publishing this. I see that a lot with the public entities that they use systems that might export a field that isn't supposed to be there, and the people publishing is not aware of that. So if I start using a new digital service, I usually take a couple of minutes to get a feel for how that service is. Is there a bad spell here? Is the system either old or is it auto-incrementing variables, SQL parameters, sort parameters, all kinds of things. Parameters, if you change them, what does the system spit out? Does it make sense to check for this? If I see a JVT token, I try to modify that and see that they actually validate the token. Just basic things that every system should be up to date on. So I get just a feeling of how the security best practices is in this system, and yeah, if you do that on a system, you can find things. So I don't do like a complete penetration test, because that is not my job. I'm not here to do a job for any company where I use the services. There are other people that can do that, and I'm not going that thorough into the service either. I don't do bug bounties either, because I'm not like hunting for these. I'm not here to find it. I'll just find it more by accident. As I said, I also find information leaks, like the national ID number, or the fødselsnummer. That plus the name can be used in different circumstances. So in 2018, I was responsible for the most alerts to the Norwegian Data Protection Authority, Datatilsynet. It wasn't me directly, but it was different municipals that was reporting things I had reported to them. As sort of GDPR, getting my less personal data in my database, I also collaborated a little bit with NRK, and they did some articles about this type of data. So that hopefully, my hope is that will reduce the number of these cases, so that I will have less of this in my database. So GDPR for me. Most of the alerts I send is to medium and large companies and public entities. When alerting to them, I usually have quite a good response rate in Norway. I've been alerting a couple of smaller ones, and they are quite hard to get to do something. They usually don't have any in-house resources to fix the problem. But for medium to large companies, I find this method effective. I usually alert a couple of people high up in the organization chain, so the CEO, the chief of technology, the information security officer, and other relevant sort of IT-related persons in the organization. One that is quite easy to find is the data protection officer, or in Norwegian, personvernombud. This is usually a single person, but also might be a mailbox. But they do know what GDPR is and what a leak is and what the risks are. So usually they are quite on alert when you send them something. If there's a communication or press team, I might give them a copy. If I'm not getting a response, I can send it directly to the Datatilsynet, the Norwegian Data Protection Authority, and that might get things rolling. They are a bit overloaded, so I tend to not do that anymore. I rarely get to use the security.txt, which some in security like to put up there, because that file doesn't exist where I need it. But if I've had a couple of times I've gotten to use that. So for the email I typically send, I have a quite sort of clickbaity, scary title, and then also tell it very bluntly how it is to the non-technical persons that will be on this email. So the CEO, the data protection officer, should be able to read the first paragraph and get to understand what this is about and that we should look into it. Of course, I report things that are serious, so that's why I think that is wise. But in sort of the body of the email, I usually just include a lot of technical information so that the person that is fixing it should be able to fix it without too much more information. I give them all the information about what I did and what might fix this problem or how this is technically. I usually don't talk about publishing the find or giving them a deadline because it very much depends on what they need to do on the other end, and I don't know their system. Back, which means that this is actually active, it's reading this, and yeah. So it's a quite hard parameter to use. It was the sort. So I tried out the SQL map. It's a tool for doing injection. So I ran that and got some basic system information and the names of the table from one public entity here, and ran that for about 8 hours to get that, because this was a time-based blind SQL injection. So it's the timing on how fast it responds that determines if the letter you are looking for is the right one. So you need to look for letter by letter, quite time intensive to extract data that way, but it is possible. For the alerts here, I sent it to the creator of the system and also the one that I ran this tool on, and their service provider. There's a company running the service for that municipal. I then later also alerted all the rest of the customers, because I, of course, have lists of these, because I scrape all of the instances of this system. So does organizations push back and put legal on the case? I have not experienced that myself. The first day with Rema 1000, they were pointing the finger at me. That made the media case more spicy, so they had more to do on the media team that day. But they didn't do anything more than that. But here it is very important to remember the boundaries. If you behave, they will behave. If you do too much, then you will likely have precautions on whatever action you did. So don't do too much. Do enough to prove the issue, but don't make a copy of the database, because that is never necessary. I often think that if I have enough to make a few slides on a presentation, that is usually enough for me to prove this issue. And it's also usually the same data that I will provide in the alert email that I send them, so you will have some there as well. So let's turn it over to election. Keep our security mindset with us. So the last couple of years, I've spent a lot of time checking the Norwegian election. As I said, I collect the data. I try to find systemic issues and make the right people aware. So this is not necessarily like the other cases here. The application security is not like that. It's more the election as a whole, and it's more on the system and not like specific issues. So a little election 101. There are two essential factors we need to speak about. It's trust and anonymity. Everybody should trust the results of the election. They must understand how the election works. They must know about checks that is in place in the election to get the right result. It should be transparent so that everybody can audit the election. The outcome of the election must be hard to change, meaning that we must require many steps and also have many people conspiring to make a change in the election. If one single person or a point in the election can be changed without many people being involved, that will be an issue. For a free election, we also need anonymity. This is so that you, under no circumstance, should be able to identify what somebody voted for. That is not so you can avoid pressure on people. So in the society, we should not have like posters saying 50% off for yellow voters, or only red voters allowed, green voters pay double, or even worse, violence, which can happen. So it's very important that you can't know what somebody voted for. The Norwegian election, we have 3 main elections every second year. That is the county and municipal election together, and then the parliament by itself. Next up is the parliament, which is next year. So then the county and municipal election was last year. There are 2 main types of voting in Norway. You have the early day voting and election day voting. All the voting are done on physical paper ballots, so no electronic voting in the polling stations. So it's not a computer where you can click on a button for which party you want to vote for. At the polling station, you will be ID checked before you deliver your vote. In early voting, you can vote anywhere in the country. If you vote somewhere other than where you live, that vote will go into an envelope, as you see in the picture here, and will be mailed back to where you live. So your vote will always get back to your local municipal. At election day, it's only possible to vote where you live, and that's because your vote will be counted in that place. So the votes are in. Let's count them. The first preliminary counting is manual, meaning that humans will do the counting. We will have a look at that on the next slide. And here I just want to give a big thanks to Patricia, which was mentioned before the talk. She was on the barricades in 2017 and is one of the reasons why mandatory manual counting is present in the law today. She put a spotlight on issues with unreliable electronic counting, which was on the full way into the Norwegian election. So most of the municipals, they will do the first count at the polling station with the employees that are present at that time. So I've been on that last shift, sort of, at my polling station and have been attending the counting. This is the first counting, and that is what they will be reporting to the public and also to the media when they do the live reporting on election day. The second and final counting can either be manual or electronic, but most municipals will do this electronically today. All the large places will have scanners. I've had that for a long time. After they are done, they will send the election material further to the county for another count there with other equipment. That one is also electronic. So manual counting, just to get a sort of feel for how this actually works. In the first picture here, you have people sorting them into the two different elections. It will then also be sorted by different parties, and if the ballot is stamped. So if it's not stamped, that will be put aside because that is not a valid vote. On the right here, you have after the counting is done. So here we have sorted the ballots and also counted them and put a post-it note with how many votes are in this stack. And that is recounted by another person, so two people are counting that. This type of manual counting will have some errors. The discrepancies should be checked and noted, and spot checks should be done. The counting goes into the electoral record, or Norwegian valgprotokoll. This is the official document from that municipal. So that is what the end result for them will be. This is printed and signed by the local election board, exemplified here by Oslo in the picture. So there will be about 357 of these per election, which makes it above 700 for the two elections last year. All right, so let's look further into the security and also my investigations for last election. To sum up, where we use digital systems in these in the Norwegian election today, we have two main systems that we use. We have the EVA admin and the EVA scanning. Both are owned and maintained by the Directorate of Elections, so centrally managed. The admin application is a web portal, and the scanning application is a desktop application. First, we have the voter registry, where everybody who can vote will be present. Imported data from Folkeregisteret, the central register in Norway. This is used to do the ID check when you cast your vote at the polling station. Then we have the electronic counting. That is done in the scanning solution, desktop application with connected scanners. After that, the result is imported into the admin application again, where the electoral record is produced, the PDF, and then the results are published after that is approved in the application, and over to the result page and media. So, some questions. Can we audit these election systems? Are they secure? Can election results be changed without anybody knowing? Are some voters excluded, maybe for technical reasons that you didn't think of, intentional or not? Where can we add votes in this election? And what can we check? So I've tried to answer some of these questions or get answers to them. How can we audit these systems? Do we have the source code? That would be a good start. No, we only have parts of it. We are missing the essential parts, so you can't run the code, which makes it sort of security by obscurity. Still, by REARV have released the source code. The source code is no longer being updated. Last update was in 2019. So my trust in the elections go down without that type of source code. The argument against is national security and criminal activity can happen. But I would argue that this piece of code is the execution of the law. So if you don't have the procedure, the code that is executing the law, you are missing a big piece of how it's done. So we should have access to it, I think. If this procedure, whatever the application does, if that was done by a human, you would have that procedure, and we do have that procedure for a lot of the things that is happening in the election, but not when it's a digital system, because then it's scary. I spent a lot of time to try to get a hold of the source code through Freedom of Information requests, but have stopped looking into that. Because even if we have the running code, can we trust the system? Is it the same version that is running? We don't know. And given that we are anonymous in the actual election, can we make it verifiable? We could make some hashing algorithms and stuff for making this vote, so you can check that your vote was present. But that's just an engineer's wet dream. You can't really do that without losing the anonymity. So in the digital system, we only need one place to exploit to change the result and lose that check. This image you have been looking at is the election system EVA admin. It's me that is logged in to the production environment. This is not a bug. This is me as an election official that is doing my job. So it's not a security issue unless you consider me a security issue. So all systems are buggy. I know systems are buggy. I code things. I work with systems. I make them. I know that things go wrong. And this also includes election systems. So last election, there was at least 2 instances of issues related to code or code changes. I've read the incident report. It started out with first a critical issue in the Oslo election. Then they had an emergency release for that bug, and that resulted in another critical issue, which often happens. And the second one was found by me in the election records, which you see behind here. So I expect this to happen in a system. It's not unusual that bugs occur and things happen. But these are bugs without the intention of changing the result, and even that changed the result. And that just shows that systems are buggy. So can we audit the election without the digital system, without these pieces of procedure that we can't look into? So a couple of slides back, we had this this on the wall. So I'm changing out the first one to be the paper ballots and the manual counting. And this is why the manual counting is so important, because then we can check against the result. We have a manual count that is not gone through any system, and we can check that against the results, hopefully. And this is all made possible by the changes in 2018, where it became mandatory to do this manual count after pressure from security professionals like yourself. But first, let's look into the data collection from last year. So there is saying this meeting could have been an email. Well, this could have been an API, all these emails. Due to lack of transparency on important data, the Directorate of Elections, we need to collect all these records directly from the municipals by asking each one of them. So the data was collected by sending about 1,300 emails. A lot of this is like the first request, and then a lot of reminders and nagging to a certain degree. Most of them are quite similar emails, so it's not like I'm typing out all these. But still. The replies might be questions, might be the correct PDF that I'm looking for, or it might be something else. The results are very different in form and shape. So last year I used some AI to read a lot of these emails and summarize them, and also extract data points from them. So in a way, I just made the missing API and integrated with the municipals by the very ineffective channel of communication, which is email. It's quite slow. As you can see, not all municipals managed to respond in time. I've sent some complaints, but I haven't tried to get it up to 100. It's about 80 to 90%, because I really want to look into the data. I don't want to spend more time on this data collection. So over to the data. Hallvard kommune, here's an example of some of the data. The municipal election. Here they found 95 extra votes in the final count. This, according to my code, that changed the seats between two parties. I have simulated the preliminary seats and got the final seats from the actual PDF. And the comment was, discrepancy checked by scanning twice. So we ran the scanning twice, same equipment, all the same stuff. It was the same result. We trust the system. This is the typical example of how the trust is in computers among election officials. A lot of them don't see it with the same security mindset that we would have done. But I wouldn't trust my own code this much, that's sure. For the last election, electoral records, here are some of the interesting numbers that I've taken out. So as the previous slides, there was 22 municipals that had change of seats between the first preliminary count and the final count. Some of these might have been explained. There might be votes that my code doesn't pick up, but some of them are also like this one larger one that we just saw. Usually this is picked up by others also, so it's not like it's going completely unnoticed, but still, there are some discrepancies. I also have another check for if the difference in vote count is more than 1%. changes of 1% for one party. So one party is losing 100 votes and another one is gaining. This is typical of what you see. If that is 1% difference, we have 34 of those. And that is a lot. We also have a lot on the ballot stuffing, meaning that there are more votes in the ballot than voters. Because when you check your ID, you will be crossed out. You will be marked that you have voted. And that count of how many are crossed out shouldn't be less than the votes. So if there are more votes than people that should have voted, that is, of course, an issue. Some of these are quite minor, but might point to something that should be looked into, or that the whole election process should have better data on this. 17 of them was due to the emergency release of the election system while they were doing the election counting. So due to the release, while we were doing counting, it started, we got some bugs there. This is the one that we previously looked into. I did a separate study of Rogaland, where I'm from, to try to see if we can, to answer exactly the question I just asked, can we audit the digital systems? Do we have a record of something that is not extracted from that system? You're not meant to read all of this, but just have a look that there are many red boxes. So let's go to the summary. So I found that 5 of the 23 municipals in Rogaland can be audited outside the main election system, so outside that admin system. And when I say I can audit them, this means that I got a copy of some handwritten notes from the actual counting, the manual counting that they have done. A lot of them said that they had just thrown out those notes. Some said they had shredded them because it's, I don't know, secret or something. These are the kind of comments that they responded with when they answered. I think we can get this number a lot higher by asking all the municipals ahead of time. You should keep these because these are important. But I don't see it as important right now, so then it's just sort of by accident that some kept them and others don't. But this is the count that we want to have higher to be able to audit from end to end. But still, it's really hard to scale an attack against an election that is on paper ballots and with so many places of counting. Unless you hit the digital systems, of course, where you have one vulnerability and you can change the whole election outcome. But there's also a new spanner that is thrown into the machine. The Norwegian government is investigating and collecting information on both electronic counting at the polling station, meaning that you get not a laptop or some kind of machine and you hit a button for your vote. And also looking into online voting, which is another very bad idea. So in the light of what I've presented so far, I hope you see some argument against. If you need it in a more short form and good explanation, I will recommend this video. It is really good and does go into all the different arguments for this. And just a couple of words on the online voting. Same argument as on the previous slide, but just a lot more attack surface. Should you really be allowed to send HTTP requests to an election system? Today we are not allowed. We are blocked from doing that, and that's a good thing. But also other aspects like social engineering, who is actually doing the voting, the undue pressure on people, who was present at the voting and pressuring the voter, the one that sent in the vote. And if you say yes to online voting, why not do it by phone? Call in your vote. Would you trust the guy on the other end to write down the right vote and follow the procedure that is there. All right, so let's recap. We started out by looking at responsible disclosure, alerting owners, giving fair time to respond, and that you should behave if you wander into this. Next, we looked at this election with a security mindset. Can voters understand the election? Can you understand the election? Can you audit the election? To some degree we can, but there are room for improvements. My biggest scares are in this order: the online voting, electronic voting at the polling stations, and no human count of ballots. I wouldn't trust an election with any of these. So I'm ending on a call to action. You should observe your local election. I can only be at one place at one time, so go to your polling station, watch the count. You are completely allowed to do that, and that's also stated in the new election law. Thankfully, I was rejected at one last election, but another one let me watch. You're allowed to take pictures, videos. You are allowed to see how the counting is done. You should look for how the ballots are stored after preliminary counting, how they are transported. I've seen a couple of things. The procedure says this, but it's not always followed if people aren't looking. So let's have a look at the election. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hallvard. A very timely and interesting and slightly concerning talk. We have a few minutes for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Hallvard? No? I have a question to get things going. You mentioned that you went undercover.
Yep.
And I'm wondering what about the situation makes you feel like you have to be undercover when you're...
Yeah, it's not going secretly undercover and hiding my identity. It's just that your local municipal will be asking for people to man the polling station, and everybody can basically sign up for stuff like that. You will then be in as an employee of the municipal for that day. So it's not a very undercover secret thing. Yeah.
Oh, we have a question at the back. Coming back to you.
So my question is, since you're that critical of the electronic systems for voting, are you distrustful of electronic systems per se? Is there any systems that you feel are a success when it comes to verifying identities or behaving in the electronic age for citizens?
Didn't quite get the last part there, but the first part, the digital systems, they are being checked, they are being penetration tested, they are likely good systems, but it's a systemic thing to not trust them completely, because there can be issues and you likely don't know where the issues are.
Right, so the last part was, if you don't trust your identity in the election system, do you trust your identity in other systems like NAV or Skatteetaten?
Yeah, we need digital systems to make this work, otherwise it will be too much. But you should always have rights in every situation, and you do have that with NAV as well. But electronic systems are, of course, effective to do things at a larger scale.
All right. Thank you very much. This is obviously a sensitive topic, and if you would like to discuss it with Hallvard more privately, then he will be available for questions and discussion. Thank you very much.